Okay, let's dive right into this. Imagine a mystery so mathematically complex it literally defeated the absolute brightest minds on the planet for half a century. We're talking 50 years of the world's top scientists hitting a massive, impenetrable wall. And the stakes? Curing our most devastating diseases. For decades, humanity was completely stuck. Until everything changed.
50 years. The world's best scientists. AI solved it in months and won the Nobel Prize. It's just mind-blowing. Just picture staring at the very building blocks of life, knowing the cures to human disease are right there, hiding in plain sight, but realizing the math is just way too vast for the human brain to ever figure out.
So, to understand this massive wall, we need to talk about proteins. Now, proteins control literally everything in your body, right? They digest your food, fight off viruses, fire the neurons in your brain. But here's the thing. A protein doesn't start out ready to do its job. It actually starts as this tangled, floppy molecular string. To actually work, that string has to physically fold itself into a highly specific, three-dimensional shape. Think of it exactly like a key being cut to fit perfectly into a very specific biological lock. In biology, shape equals function. If that key is folded even slightly wrong, it doesn't fit the lock. Things break down, and that is what causes disease.
And that simple dynamic sparked a 50-year struggle. Back in the 1970s, scientists hit this theoretical wall. They knew the molecular string, sure, but predicting the final 3D shape? Total nightmare. Through the 90s, researchers spent entire careers on agonizing trial-and-error lab work. By the 2010s, we were throwing our biggest supercomputers at it, and even they hit a wall. This one massive roadblock basically stalled modern cancer research and drug discovery for an entire generation.
But you gotta wonder, what exactly was blocking them for half a century? Why was predicting the shape of one tiny biological key so incredibly impossible for brilliant scientists and massive computers alike?
Well, it comes down to the sheer mind-boggling math. A single protein string could theoretically fold into more shapes than there are atoms in the observable universe. No way around it. To find just one correct structure, scientists had to use painstaking physical methods, like crystallizing the protein and hitting it with X-rays. That process, it could easily eat up 5 whole years of a brilliant PhD student's life just to map one single protein. Fast forward to today, and AI generates that exact same perfect 3D structure in literally a matter of seconds.
The tipping point finally hit in 2020. An AI system called AlphaFold 2 burst onto the scene and sent absolute shockwaves through the scientific world. It did what everyone swore was impossible. It looked at that one-dimensional string and accurately predicted the folded 3D shape. Just like that, overnight, it basically solved the core theoretical aspects of the protein folding problem.
Now, AlphaFold 2 was an undeniable miracle, absolutely. But there was a catch. It was amazing at predicting these static, rigid shapes of isolated proteins. But human life isn't a rigid snapshot, is it? Life is messy, it's dynamic, it's constantly moving. Proteins are always interacting with our DNA, our RNA, the medicines we take. We didn't just need a still photograph. We needed to see the entire molecular machine in motion.
And that brings us to the ultimate breakthrough. In 2024, DeepMind published a groundbreaking paper in Nature revealing AlphaFold 3. To solve this dynamic puzzle of life, this new model uses what's called a multi-scale transformer architecture. Basically, instead of just staring at the whole protein at once and taking a wild guess, it breaks the problem down. It analyzes the tiny atomic details, checks the mid-level structures, and maps the massive global picture, all at the exact same time. It finally cracked how life's different molecules physically fit together.
And guys, this wasn't just some minor iterative update. The benchmark data here is staggering. AlphaFold 3 isn't just a little bit better, it is massively more accurate than the absolute best traditional prediction methods we had before. We're talking about a 50% leap in accuracy for predicting how proteins interact with actual drug molecules. It stepped way beyond just proteins. It can now predict virtually all of life's complex molecules.
So, how in the world did it actually pull this off? How did a computer system suddenly learn to predict the dynamic, chaotic shapes of almost every molecule of life without missing a single beat? The secret sauce here is something called a diffusion model. If you've ever played around with an AI image generator like Midjourney, you kind of know how this works. It starts with a blurry screen of static noise, right? And then slowly, step by step, it sharpens that noise into a crystal clear picture. Well, AlphaFold 3 does the exact same thing, but in 3 dimensions. It starts with a literal cloud of noisy, random atoms. Then it systematically sculpts and sharpens them into a perfect, functional molecular key.
This whole digital sculpting thing happens through a process called differentiable simulation. Now, the AI isn't just taking wild guesses based on biological pictures it's seen before. It actually learned the physical rules of our world. It understands atomic forces, bond angles, exactly where atoms would physically crash into each other. It's like a master sculptor constantly checking its work against the laws of physics at every single step, refining the model until that 3D shape is physically flawless.
Now, what's really fascinating about this part is how the AI stays grounded in real, functioning biology. It uses a mechanism called biologically informed cross-attention. Think of this as the AI using evolutionary cheat codes. It actively cross-references its digital predictions with millions of years of real evolutionary history. So it guarantees that the structure it builds isn't just physically possible in a simulation, but biologically accurate for that specific living organism.
So, we now have an AI that can predict the machinery of life in seconds. Which brings up a huge question. What happens when you take this unbelievable power and just give it to the whole world? 200 million! That's the number of protein structures they generated and released to the public, completely for free. The creators didn't lock this world-changing tech behind some corporate vault. They democratized structural biology for everyone on Earth. Literally overnight, a solo researcher in a tiny university lab with just a standard laptop suddenly had the exact same structural data as a massive, multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company.
And this fundamentally changes the future of medicine. If we look at the AI's performance across different complexities, older models usually fell apart when things got too complicated. But AlphaFold 3? It keeps its incredible accuracy even on the absolute longest, most chaotic protein targets. And the crucial point is, those massive, chaotic proteins are exactly the ones responsible for our most devastating and complex diseases, like Alzheimer's and rare genetic disorders.
The real-world impact of this is just staggering. Before this AI, finding the exact molecular shape to design a targeted drug could take scientists years, sometimes decades of dead ends. Today, with AlphaFold 3, scientists can look at the 3D structure of a disease target and design a custom drug to fit perfectly into its biological lock in a matter of days. We've essentially compressed the drug discovery timeline from years down to days. It's an absolute game changer for getting life-saving treatments to people faster.
Now, with all this incredible speed and almost unbelievable predictive power, it begs a pretty serious question. Does this mean human scientists are suddenly obsolete? Are we really just going to let AI completely take over and design all our medicines from now on?
Absolutely not. While AlphaFold 3 is a miracle tool, it is still exactly that, a tool. The AI isn't perfect. It can still hallucinate or make slight errors when dealing with super unusual biological scenarios. But more importantly, it requires brilliant human scientists to guide it, to ask it the right questions, and to take its digital designs and test them rigorously in a real physical lab. We absolutely still need humans to make sure these AI-assisted drugs are actually safe and effective for patients.
This explainer really highlights why this technology won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. It didn't just solve a 50-year-old biological puzzle. It shattered a glass ceiling that was holding back the entirety of human health. AlphaFold is really the ultimate partner in scientific discovery. As we look at the future of medicine, I want to leave you with this thought. AI is no longer just answering questions. It is helping us ask better ones.